Welcome back. All right, so in lieu of a news of the day video, I want to talk about milestones, and there might be a news of the day video later. Today has been a day of hockey players. Well, the last 24 hours, I've seen a lot of hockey players at baseball stadiums throwing out first pitches and wearing baseball jerseys. And does that qualify as a jersey foul then, people? Because I get told every now and then about jersey fouls and the name being on the back of certain jerseys, and if you didn't play, then it's. Anyways, that being said, the one milestone that everybody's going to be watching this year is whether or not Ovechkin catches Gretzky. This past season, his scoring slowed down, Ovi's. And there's various reasons and theories that have been thrown out there for why, but he's approaching 40 and it happens. It absolutely happens. I've been sick for almost a week now. It might be a little more difficult for me to get that workout going again after not being able to do it for roughly a week. So I totally understand why, for players who are older, they have to work out during the off season a little bit harder than the young guys. And I totally understand why the young guys kind of enjoy their off season a little bit more than the older guys. So I don't have a problem with it. I don't. But that being said, Ovechkin sits 41 goals behind Gretzky, 853 goals to Gretzky's 894. I don't think he gets there this season. I think he gets there probably around the middle of next season. Could he have a resurgence and get towards 50 goals? Maybe. But biology, NHL history, when you look at some of the all time greats in the game, this is where things slow down. It becomes a little more difficult. And so we'll see what happens. I do think he still passes Gretzky, but I don't think it necessarily happens this season. So looking at other stats and potential big milestones being reached. Sidney Crosby is close to 600 goals, 592. Malkin has 498. That's the Malkin jersey. Malkin's potentially going to hit some big milestones very early in the season. Jamie Benn, 383 goals. There's a good chance he hits 400 this year. I'd be surprised if he didn't get 17 goals this season. Ben didn't play as well this past season as the year before, but I still think 17 goals is easily accomplished by Jamie Benn over a full season, providing he stays healthy. On the assist side of things, Malkin leads the way with 798. So Malkin, almost 500 goals, almost 800 assists, and almost 1,300 points. So yeah, he's got himself quite the run there on milestones. Kopitar 792 assists, so almost 800. Ovechkin 697. So while we focus on the goals, and rightfully so with Ovechkin, 700 assists is pretty good in a career too. Tavares 584 assists, Stamkos 582, and Huberdeau 495. So it's been a disappointing run for Huberdeau in Calgary, but with 495 assists, he should reach 500, I would think, pretty early in the season. 10 games, he should have 5 assists. Put it that way, right? So about a month into the season, a little less than a month into the season, Huberdeau should reach that 500 assist mark. On the points side of things, Crosby leads the way again. He has 1,596 points in his career, so he's going to hit 1,600. Ridiculous totals for Crosby. Malkin 1,296. So again, he'll reach 500 goals, 800 assists, 1,300 points, all pretty early in the 2024-2025 season. Patrick Kane, 1,284 points. Coming back off that hip surgery, he looked pretty good. And so if he's able to do that again this year and play enough games, he should get that 1,300th point. I don't think it should take him more than a couple of months with 16 points needed. Even if he needs a night off here and there because of the hip, or if he doesn't, he'll reach that total even sooner. McDavid's the one to keep an eye on because he has 982 points. There's going to be a lot of discussion about how quickly he gets there, comparatively speaking, with other players reaching 1,000 points in their career. But McDavid is one of the best, and certainly when he reaches that 1,000 point mark, I will do a video. We'll discuss, like, Gretzky and everything else. I may look up some era adjusted numbers as well and try to get a feel for McDavid reaching that total as quickly as he has. But it's remarkable. It is. Nathan MacKinnon, 899 points in his career. He has a chance to reach 1,000 points as long as he can stay healthy. Shouldn't be a problem. 101 points. Yeah, MacKinnon can get 101 points. Should not be a problem at all. Then we get to the goaltending numbers. You've got Sergei Bobrovsky, 396 wins. Jonathan Quick has 393, so good chance he reaches 400. Freddie Anderson, 295, and Andrei Vasilevsky, 293. For the record, number 10 on the wins list all time is Tony Esposito with 423. So that is 27 wins to tie that mark for Bobrovsky, 28 wins to pass it, and get the number 10 spot on the list all to himself. I think Bobrovsky can get there. Obviously, playing in Florida, defending Stanley Cup champions, 28 wins shouldn't be a problem. It's a matter of how quickly he gets to that number. It's going to depend on how many games the backup's playing and all that other fun stuff. And again, Vasilevsky almost 300 wins in his career. I would say of the four names on the board, Bobrovsky Hall of Famer, probably. Jonathan Quick, absolutely. And Vasilevsky, really hard not to argue for Vasilevsky at this point in his career, even though he hasn't reached 300 wins yet. Now on shutouts, Marc-Andre Fleury has 75. It is notable because Belfour and Esposito, so that's Ed Belfour and Tony Esposito, are tied for 10th on the all-time list with 76. So he can move his way into a top 10 tie with those two. And then Roberto Luongo has 77 for 9th place all by himself. I could absolutely see Marc-Andre Fleury recording a couple of shutouts in Minnesota this year. And at the very least tying Luongo, if not getting 3 and passing Luongo. There are 16 players in reach of 1,000 games played. And this is where, when I'm doing the daily reviews and I'm doing preview videos and I'm doing news videos, that people will often say, hey, you need to do a career video on this player. They just reached 1,000 games. It's not going to happen because you've got these 16 reaching 1,000 games. Crosby hitting some pretty major milestones and other milestones in here. It just then becomes a channel of, okay, got a review and then another milestone video. There's not a lot else in there. And the odds of somebody being forgotten, especially during the really busy month of November, it's there. November is usually the craziest month for me watching hockey. It's part of the reason that I'm modifying the way I'm doing my reviews. So some of those milestones just flat out come and go without a video done on that player. Now, looking at franchises, Dallas sits with 1,987 wins in their franchise's history, which includes the Minnesota North Stars. So Dallas with 13 wins would reach 2,000 all time. I don't know if they'll have like a big post on that or anything like that because it does include the Minnesota North Stars. I'm not sure. I think they should, but I'm not sure if they will. Nashville has 986 wins in their franchise's history, so they're 14 short of the 1,000 mark. Minnesota, in terms of goals for, 4,887. So 113 away from 5,000 goals scored as a franchise. Columbus, 4,726. I don't think they're going to get 274 goals this season, but it's not an impossible total for a team to reach. And while saying that about Columbus may sound crazy right now with everything that's going on, the reality is there are surprises every year, and maybe Columbus can be a surprise in the positive this year in the NHL. Maybe the tragedy that's affected this team over the last week, maybe they can use that to boost their fortunes this season. They have something to really rally around this season, and maybe they do score a bunch of goals. Vegas has 1,720 goals in their franchise's history, so 280 goals would get them to 2,000. Again, it's a high total of goals, but is it reachable? Potentially, yes. I don't think they necessarily get 280 goals this year, but why not? And Seattle, 716 goals so far through their 3 seasons. Highly unlikely they get 284, but I figured, yeah, I'll put Seattle on the board because why not? There is usually an acknowledgement on social media when teams reach these kinds of totals, and it doesn't normally get a ton of attention from people. Now, penalty minutes I had to throw on the board because this is just insane. So Tiger Williams is the all-time leader in penalty minutes in the NHL. His 3,971 penalty minutes, to me, is just as unreachable as Gretzky's, 4,000 points he had. I know it's not 4,000 points, but it might as well be because nobody's ever reaching it. And nobody's ever getting near the 4,000, almost 4,000 penalty minutes for Tiger Williams. Tom Wilson is the current leader in penalty minutes amongst active players, 1,432. That puts him 157th on the all-time list of penalty minutes in the National Hockey League. So it is a different era that we are in than the one that I grew up in. And so, yeah, Tom Wilson, number 1 in penalty minutes. He may not even reach 2,000 in his career. Even Chara had over 2,000 in his career. But Chara, again, when he came in, there were more penalty minutes being handed out, certainly than when he left the league. So one thing to keep in mind too, and I wanted to throw this in here, Utah, every time they do something, it'll be seen as a first. The NHL's treating them as an expansion team because Arizona went inactive and they basically bought the players and everything from Alex Morello while letting him keep the team name and I guess history and whatever else. Everything from Utah will be treated as an expansion first. It's probably going to be kind of awkward at points, especially when it's like his first ever win. I don't know. I think Ingram's won a game before. Um, first goal in franchise history. Clayton Keller's had goals for this team before because it's all the same guys. But I get it. I do. And rookie milestone comparisons are going to be there. Celebrini's coming in, and so we could see him or other rookies as well that when they hit certain totals, they'll be compared to other rookies. I wouldn't be surprised if there's comparisons because one question I've had a lot is Celebrini got the same ceiling as like Bedard? I don't think so, but I would imagine that comparison will be out there. And of course, looking at Matthews, people will be tracking Matthews, whether or not he can get close to 70 again. And the fact that his goals per game in his career right now are tracking higher than Ovechkin's, it's remarkable. And people will point out, definitely in the comment section too, I would imagine on this video. Yes, goal scoring drops as you get older. The scoring that Matthews is doing right now is insane, but is he going to keep it up? The reality is that having goals per game in your career as high as Matthews has is something special, and it is totally worth keeping an eye on. So I would imagine that's something that will happen this season too. Plus, the fact that he does play in Toronto, which is often dubbed the center of the universe, at least from a hockey perspective, and what other universe matters? Really, it's the hockey universe, right? I'm kind of in this hockey nirvana universe now, but Matthews will be tracked regardless of whether he's scoring goals or not. So we'll see how things go. But there you go. I wanted to do a video on milestones today. I thought, sure. I haven't done a video on this in a very long time. It's been years. So I figured, why not? But let me know your thoughts. Which milestone are you going to be watching closest? And which player on this list do you think we're going to be looking at that maybe they get near 800 goals in their career? Maybe if Crosby can just keep playing forever, because he doesn't age. He just doesn't age. I feel like I could still call him Sid the Kid because look at him. He doesn't age. Yeah, which player do you think, and which of the young players do you think we'll be looking at, say, 10 years down the road if I'm still standing in front of a whiteboard talking about hockey, reaching a big milestone? Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. We'll talk to you again